Welcome to the podcast, Kill Complacency. Here we inspire intentional living by motivating others to handle hard better. And here's your host, Marty Hofmann.
Hey, so excited to do a little intro about this podcast today. We are interviewing Jason Reece. Jason Reece is a guy I know as the appliance repair guy. Really cool backstory. Jason fell prey to pills and alcohol and mixing them together and just what that would do to his body. We're going to break this podcast up into two parts. The first part, you're going to hear really the depths of despair he gets, the struggle, the temptation, and we're going to kind of climax as he's coming around, and you're going to hear about what shifted in his mind, what created the why to give him more intentionality to focus on what God created him to be, the man he created him to be. So great stuff. Really listen to the end as Jason shares really that why and what gave him the courage to be more intentional. It's a powerful story, something in here for everybody. I would really encourage you guys to sit back and enjoy, and don't be afraid to let your younger generation listen and learn from others. So good stuff. Enjoy. So today I'm with Jason Reece. Jason Reece is the guy that I know as the appliance guy. Jason, you don't probably remember this, but you came out to my house. I lived off 105, like
I can already tell you I don't remember it, but go ahead.
7 years ago. And I was gone, but my wife had you come out. You worked on a refrigerator, and she paid you cash. And you were like, wow, I don't get cash very often.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And that would have been my response. And I wasn't upset with her for paying me cash either.
Yep. So that was my first intro to you.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I know you as the appliance guy, but I know that you have a story to tell others about how you got to where you are now. And I know that you live an intentional life. One time you told me something like you work out because you got to be intentional with your time. Otherwise,
you do.
Otherwise, you get mad and upset and do other things.
No doubt about it.
So I know you're intentional, but could you tell us more about yourself?
Yeah. Jason Reece, I was born in Guthrie. This is how I always start. I was born in Guthrie, graduated high school there in 95. Didn't know if I wanted to go to college or not. And when fall semester came, I didn't. And Dad said, if you're gonna live in this house, you're gonna work, which what every parent should say. So I went and applied for work at Acton's Furniture. Acton's Furniture ran from 1941 to 2009. I loved my job. I didn't think that it would lead to where I'm at now, but really it did, and we'll touch on that here in a minute. 1997. Oh, I'm married to a beautiful woman. I don't want to forget this, and have 4 amazing kids. 1997, we're taking 2 pianos up the 3rd floor of the First Christian Church. Me and another buddy of mine named Cameron. And we didn't have a way. This is where my life changed. We didn't have a way. We didn't know how to move pianos, so we picked them up one step, picked it up again. I don't advise that. We get on the first piano, we get up to like the 3rd stair from the last, and I was on the bottom because a strong guy needed to be on bottom. And when I went to pick it back up, I heard a pop, and I don't know how I was able to hold that without the piano falling, but I did. And Cameron went downstairs, called somebody, and we got it up there. But I was immobile. That was the first time I ever hurt my back, ever. Not something that, I've had back pain, but not like that. It was paralyzed. I was pretty much paralyzed. He takes me to the doctor. I go in there, tell him what's going on. Okay, we're going to give you some pain pills. We're going to give you some muscle relaxers. Try to stay off of it for 2 or 3 days, and you'll probably be good in a week. And that was about right at that time. I remember I never really was a pill guy, taking 4 or 5 of those pills. And then after a week or so, I started feeling better, just throw them out. Well, the cycle kept repeating itself. 2009, for about 18 straight months. 2009, I take Marcia out, my wife, to have, I forgot where we went now, but it was on Valentine's. And I had taken a pain pill before we left because I was hurting. Now, I wasn't abusing them at this time. I was probably taking more than what I should have been, but I wouldn't say maybe I was abusing them slightly. But I order a glass of wine. I drink that, I sip on that wine, eat dinner. We leave, and on the way home, that pain pill, I realized what the pain pill and the wine did together. And that feeling ruled my life on and off for 6 years. But I remember I got my first arrest was in 2009. I got a DUI in January of 2009. I'd never been in any kind of trouble, so I go there. I'm embarrassed, shame, and guilt along with that. And I said, you know what? I'm done with this. And I did for 2 or 3 days, and this time I'm addicted. I mean, I was getting 150 Loratab. I was getting 150 Soma. He was giving me 30 Flexeril, and he was even giving me Ambien to sleep because the opiates, if you take so many of them, it speeds your heart. I mean, you just can't sleep. Well, probably March of 2010, I really start going hard again. And I do this for 2 years, really, really hard. March 31st of 2012, I hit a guy's mailbox right up the road from us. I go to the store, I come back. I actually left the guy a note on his mailbox. I actually knocked on the door, even though I was sort of incoherent. And as I'm driving back, there's a police officer at the house. So of course, I didn't stop and tell him my name, but I went ahead and drove on home. And he followed me. It's one of my better buddies. And he said, have you been drinking? And I said, Well, I wanted to sit down real quick, and I kind of like sped in the house. I thought that maybe I wouldn't get a DUI by doing that. But when I sat down in my jacket, I had like 40 loose pills that all fell out, and takes me back down to jail. I bond out again. They didn't, I wasn't a flight risk at this time, so it was $5,000 bond. I get out, I walk home, and Marcia, my wife, says, you're either going to go to rehab or we're going to get a divorce. Easy, I'll go to rehab. I call 300 places across the world, maybe not that many, but I was on the phone all day. Find a place in Palm Beach, Florida called The Watershed. I go there for 30 days, and I'll never forget completing that treatment, landing at Will Rogers and our Acadia pulling up. And I'll never forget our OU license plate. And I was so, so, so happy. I'd never been away from my wife. I'd never been away from my child. And I remember walking to the car, and she got out. If I get emotional, I apologize. She got out, and I knew in my head, my days, I'm done. I'm done. And I believed it. I mean, I think that I was intentional about it. And I did good for 9 or 10 months. But when I got back, it's a daily thing. You have to self-examine every single day. And I think when you get lazy like that and you get complacent, I believe that's the enemy imposing his will on you. And I didn't do any aftercare or playing golf at the country club. 2013. Hadn't drank or drugged in 15 months or so. And the beer cart lady driving around, playing with some of my good friends, and I ordered a Bud Light. Alcohol was not my deal, but anytime I took a pill, I drank after I realized what it would do, so I guess it was my deal. I remember my buddy saying, do you think that's a good idea? And I so appreciated him saying that. I don't think I've ever told him that, but I did. And I said, yeah, I'm good. And I had one drink. Did good. But what that did in my head, when I drank, it brought back to life a lot of toxicity. And seriously, Marty, that night, all those contacts that I had up here, it was like I was like Rain Man. I knew everybody to call. Even though I had deleted all the numbers, my sick mind still remembered I can get a hold of it. And I had, later on that evening, I had probably over 200 pills, and I really, really, really went hard. 2014, December 3rd, 2014, I dropped my son off at Fogarty, and I hit a tractor trailer up right in front of Napa. The whole town to see me. And I remember Officer Hamilton, who's a very good friend of mine right now, he pulls up and he said, we're going to give you a sobriety test. Oh, I was angry. I was not doing anything that morning. It's truth. I know it's hard to believe, but I wasn't. Now, I was doing things that I shouldn't have been doing in that time frame, but that morning, I wasn't doing it. And I remember I was so angry, and they gave me that. I said, well, I'll pass this, and I'll go on about my day. He gives me the test, and sure enough, he said, put your hands behind your back. And I said things I shouldn't have said. I did things I shouldn't have done. I said, you take me to the hospital, draw my blood, I'm beating this. Now, the night before, I did things I shouldn't have done, but that morning I hadn't. Well, I can't get over being embarrassed and humiliated again when I wasn't using. March 27th, and by this time, March 27th, 2014, I'm in a bad, bad, bad place. I'm sleeping in my truck at times. I'm sleeping at my parents'. My wife won't allow me home. I pull up at my folks' house. Guy pulls in, nice BMW or Mercedes, a car that you don't see every day. Gets out, he's got a suit and got a briefcase. I'm like, what is this guy doing? He said, excuse me, sir, is your name Jason Reece? It's like, yeah, that's me. He said, I got something for you. I opened his briefcase and he handed me 18 or 20 papers. And at the very top it said divorce. Now, no, I can't tell you how I felt when I read that, but I can tell you how I coped by reading that. And that was bad, dark, drink, drug. I didn't want to feel that. So that's what people like me do when feelings come, is you mask those feelings, because it's not, feelings can suck. Feelings are great, and it's good to be in tune with your feelings and your emotions. But when on something like that, all I knew to do was to go deep, and that's exactly what I did. April 11th, a month later, 2 weeks later, I'm supposed to be in court on that third DUI. Come back, the blood test came back good, and we were going to dismiss the case. Supposed to be in court at 1 o'clock that day, and they catch me on the west side of town at 10:30 in the morning, and I am completely intoxicated. And right when they pulled me over, I literally just put my hand, I was done. I couldn't even hardly form a sentence. I remember my attorney came down. That was my fourth DUI. That's hard to say. My attorney came down and he said, you're trying to go to prison. He was so upset with me. I said, I'm not trying to go to prison. He told me things I didn't want to hear, and I was like, man, can you get me out of here or not? Yeah, he got me out. The bond was $15,000, I think, at that time. Man, I could not get over all that guilt and all that shame and humiliation. And that next month, from about mid-April to May 14th, Marty, I was taking, true story, you're not going to believe it, at my worst, probably 60 to 80 pills a day. My tolerance was so incredibly crazy. Now, if I took a 16th of that today, I would drop dead. May 14th, May 12th, 2 days before my last DUI, I remember calling my brother. I needed to be around family, so I went out there and stayed with him. May 14th. Now, I haven't slept at this time in about 4 days. That's the first time I haven't slept for 4 days, so you can imagine how irrational everything is when you haven't slept in 96 hours. I tell him I got to leave. At this point in time, a lady named Betty Butterworth was allowing me to stay in her little one-garage apartment. I said, I'm going to go home and get some sleep. I can feel myself struggling. I need rest. I literally felt my body shutting down. Sure. Well, I leave Cold Drive out there. I get out on Highway 105. And I remember being tired, like really, really, really tired. And I got out on that road and I cracked my windows. You know how it is. When you've probably drove tired before. You crank the radio up, AC, DC, and I don't even listen to that stuff, and roll the windows down. All I remember was waking up. I had just got my truck back from an accident, from a total, almost. And I woke up, and I remember seeing my cruise light. It was green. And I remember the odometer said 78. It happened, Marty. It happened so fast, but it's like slow motion. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's just the way it was. And I look up, and I am literally peppered with trees. I'm in this field. That's what woke me up, was like I was riding a horse inside that field. And by the time I could even think about getting my foot on the brake, I hit that tree. At 78, I didn't brake. I get out. There's this lady running across 105. I know she thought I was dead. She goes, are you okay? I said, I'm okay, but I need something to drink. I don't know if you've ever had something happen where you get thirsty, like really, really quickly. Like if you get sick or you get hurt real bad, you're dry. And she ran and got me some orange juice and water. By the time she was coming back, I remember looking at the truck, getting out and looking at the truck. Now, mind you, at 78 miles an hour hitting a tree, dead center, I'm probably going to be hurt if I'm not dead. Yeah. I don't have a scratch on me. That's God honest truth. And I remember getting out of that truck, and I walked back to the tailgate, and it felt like a tree was fixing to come down, like a crackling. Well, I look up, and it's the hotline, the power pole. Oh. And the bed of my truck was right there, and Marty, that thing perpendicular hit less than 5 feet behind that truck, and it was just like a sobering, like, oh my gosh, what has happened? You can hear zzz, zzz, you see those commercials where, that's true. I mean, you could hear that. Jenkins, my buddy, Brian, came and got me, took me down there. That was my 5th DUI, so they set my bond the next day at $500,000. Now, Judge Duell, who's another good friend of mine now, he said, no, we're not going to set it at $500, but we'll set it at $250. What's the difference? 25 grand, 50 grand? I don't have that. So I'm staying there. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. June 1st, now we're still going through divorce. June 1st, my parents' anniversary of all days, we had another divorce hearing. And I couldn't believe that Marcia, my wife, was making me embarrass myself. That's how crazy I was. I was embarrassed. You can't put this on pause until I get out of incarceration. I was the biggest victim mentality. And she said, no, I talked to her 2 days before. And I told her I probably said some things I shouldn't have said to her. But I'll never forget them coming to get me downstairs. And we went up in the elevator and we walked through the courtroom. Well, they were having a jury trial in the courtroom. And there was 125 people in there, and I knew 140 of them. I knew everybody in there, and I was so embarrassed and so humiliated. And what that did for me is made me angrier at Marcia. The anger should have been directed at me, but it wasn't. And I don't look at her immediately. And I'm trying to, a face can say 1,000 words, and I wanted to show her how angry I was at her. I'm so sick. They come in there, they sit down for 5 minutes, I don't look at her, and then I finally get the gumption to look over at her. And honest to God, it was like Jesus Christ pushed the pause button, and all that anger and regret and humiliation was like, what have I done to my family? What have I done to my family? And the moment broke me, but I needed that. You can't tell me he didn't orchestrate that moment. Ooh. I go downstairs after they take me back, and I'm just a mess. I'm a blubbering mess. I go and see Pod and all my buddies, if you want to call them buddies, all my acquaintances inside there, they knew something wasn't right. So they left me alone. And I remember going upstairs to my bunk and putting the covers over my head and just crying out to God like I'd never cried before and just praying. And that's all I knew to do. I didn't know that was enough at the time, but that's all I knew to do. Next day, I hear a guy yell, Reece, at 4:30 in the morning. They make me trustee. Trustee status in jail is a big deal because when you're not a trustee, you're in the back with 65 people and you don't sleep because it's loud. When you're a trustee, they move you up front. You cook for the inmates 3 meals a day. You wash the inmates' clothes. You're productive again, which was so, so important for me. I'm out there. Nobody knows I was trustee. It's June 12th, day before my 38th birthday. And I'm outside sweeping the steps. Now, at this point in time, I let my pride go. I was right where I was supposed to be. Now, I wasn't outside flagging people down saying, hey, how you doing? I'll be out in 2 weeks. I'm going to fix your dryer again. It wasn't like that, but I kind of lifted my chin up and said, you know what? I got myself in this situation. It is what it is. June 12th, I'm outside sweeping the steps. It's 6:05 in the morning. The sun is, it's dark, but you can see things. Yeah. I hear a car coming around the corner. I'm sweeping, and I look up, and it's our Tahoe. I'm like, that's our Tahoe. Now, my wife is not very happy with me. We're one signature away from a divorce, so I'm going to act like I don't see her. So I did. As they're coming closer, I hear the engine start to rev down. I'm like, oh, my gosh, she's going to stop. We're going to talk. She gets perpendicular to me, and the windows roll down, and my 2 youngest kids were in the truck, seeing their hero in County Orange sweeping steps. I was so grateful to see him, but so humiliated at the same time. But, Marty, they didn't look at me like, you've been an absent father. Yeah. We know you've been doing wrong. They looked at me like, you're my dad and we love you and we want you back. I'll never forget how they looked at me. I remember just sobbing. Like,
How old are your kids?
I got 27.
At this point?
Oh, Rye was about 11. Brayson was 4. Okay. I'm crying and I'm waving and I'm happy. I don't go out and talk to him because I don't know if that can bring on another charge. I don't know. I've never been in jail before. But I was so grateful she stopped, as crazy as that may sound. And when they turned left once they got out on Harrison, and right when they got out of view, I remember I was just so broken, beautifully broken. I threw my broom down and I walked up inside. I didn't even know what I was doing at the time, but I walked up in the dispatch office. I opened that bathroom door and I locked that door, and I no sooner locked that door and I hit my knees and I gave it all to him. What happened at that moment, I didn't realize it at the time, I forgave myself, and I never would have dreamed that I did. And it took me 2 or 3 years to understand that. But I knew, Marty, that no matter what, I knew if it's going to, because I couldn't process being a dad and not being a husband. I didn't want to process being a dad and not being a husband. But I knew then, I said, you know what, whether Marcia and I work this out or we're living 15 miles apart, I'm going to be the best version of myself. That feeling, when you and I talk about the Lord, or you have a good story and you have those chills that we just had a second ago, I think that's nudges from our Creator. This instant, that morning, all I can say, it felt like that, internally magnified by 5 million. It was like He removed something from me. And it was I always tell people, if you think that you've had a spiritual experience, you haven't had one, because if you've had one, it's undeniable. Undeniable. I finished my time. Part of my deal was to go to Valley Hope for 30 days and then get enrolled in Logan County Drug Court, which is a program that helped me save my life. And as a matter of fact, I'm a volunteer I meet with them every Tuesday.
It turned for you at this point, though, right?
Oh, 100%.
Because of the experience with your wife in the car and then in the bathroom.
Yes.
That was a turning point.
100%. No question.
Suddenly, because you've been in and out of these places before.
Yeah.
But now you want it.
That was Marty, it was a feeling that I pray all of us get to experience one time in life. And I think that I've had slight spiritual experiences. There's probably not level 1, 2, and 3 spiritual experiences, but that experience, it wasn't nothing to do external. It was all inward. Well, I go to Valley Hope for 30 days, complete that. I get enrolled in drug court. I come back. I'm trying to build my business up. Now, mind you, I've ran my business into the ground. I've done things that most normal people don't do. I end up getting an apartment because we're still going through a divorce. I get my apartment. Marcia comes. She brings the kids over. She'll bring the kids over with the new dog they got. I'm so grateful. She shielded the kids when I wasn't doing right, but she brought the kids to Valley Hope. I mean, Marcia's a saint to me. She would come over and we would get along, and I was so grateful for that. But at the same time, I was like, Lord, I know she can see that something's different. But I know that's his strength that He gives you, because I never once said, God doesn't like divorce. I didn't say this. And she would come over again the next weekend. One night she came over and she brought some chicken and she cooked. Best chicken I've ever ate. We have a great time, and I walk her down. I mean, it was just her and I. I walk her down and I'm walking back up and she says, hey. And I turn around and I look at her and she's crying. And she said, how are you thriving, working? You're in a place that you've never experienced. And here I am, the one that's stuck, and you got us in this mess. I didn't know what to say to her. I went down and hugged her. I'm crying, and I said, I don't even think I said a word to her, to be honest with you. But man, when she pulled out of that parking lot, I remember going upstairs, and I'll bring the Bible back into play. What must have happened is I think I grabbed the Bible and I read it until I fell asleep, because I woke up that next morning at about 6:15, like a movie, and that Bible was across my chest. And it was like I was so comforted by knowing that. Well, it was about 2 weeks later, she came over again, and she came over the weekend after, and she said, I've been doing a lot of thinking. And she said, I think I'm going to stop the divorce.
Wow.
I can't tell you what I felt that moment, but she was in a pretty toxic marriage before, early in her life. So for her to go file for divorce again, and we were done. Mm-hmm. But God wasn't done with us. I can't tell you how I felt that day, Marty, but it was the best thing that anybody's ever said to me. I moved back home. Not only are we still together, I would put our marriage up. I don't want to sound boastful saying this. I would put our marriage up with anyone that I know. That's what God does. He can restore broken marriages. He can do anything you want Him to do if you allow Him to work through you.
Hey, just wanted to thank you guys for listening to the end. In closing, I just wanted to add that if this message resonates with you, if it aligns with your values, and something in it today triggered something, then you can also look me up on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. We are really trying to help people live more intentional lives, to kill the complacency with which they have subscribed to. I know there's many ways which I get sucked in all the time. So if this is beneficial, follow me there, spread the message, share. And if you want to wear a billboard of a message of kill complacency or live intentionally, then check out my merch store in show notes as well. But it's www.mindsetshop.com. Mindset is with an X, so it's MINDXET shop, SHOP.com. Mindsetshop.com. Check it out. Thank you guys so much, and have a great one.
Thank you for listening to Kill Complacency. Follow and share our podcast to change lives and inspire growth.